I am sitting in the most beautiful spot. I can see, like, we're just outside of Mount Gambier, so we're in a place called Yow, and I can see like little fairy wrens just running across the grass in front of me. Being out here makes me just want to move to the country and like not work ever, but it's not really achievable, so you know, we'll just leave it for holidays. Hello, and welcome to Our Stitching Chronicles on tour. Well, welcome to a special episode of Our Stitching Chronicles. Sarah has been very busy lately, so she has celebrated graduating, or she's about to set off to a trip around Japan. So very jealous of all the yarny, crafty places and things she's going to see. But that has left me here, and the end of term was a bit wild. As you can tell, my voice is a bit funny, so I've caught some kind of school bug. But my husband and I had our 3-year wedding anniversary towards the end of the term, so we decided in the school holidays we would pack up our car and head to Mount Gambier, and so that's where we are. And what I thought I would do is just bring you along for a bit of the journey, but also see how far I can progress on my current knits. So I've brought 2 with me. The first one I brought with me is the Rainy Days Tee by Sari Nordlund in a beautiful blue, I think the colour is Blue Heaven. It's Bendigo Woollen Mills cotton in the 8-ply. I'm working up on 3.5mm needles. It's a really sweet tee with like the cable detailing down the raglan. So I'm working on that one. The other thing that I'm working on is my Frederic sweater by Kolibri by Johanna in this beautiful mohair. I think it's a Suri silk combo. But this one, I've got lots left to do, but we're playing a bit of yarn chicken. So we've got this one here. And I just need to get the sleeve to match up to this side of the sleeve. And once I'm at that length, I'll see how much yarn I've got left, because this is all I've got. I'll finish off the body, and then to do the collar and the hems, the collar, the hem and the ribbing on the sleeves, you are supposed to hold this double, but I don't think I'm going to have enough. So I have this in a 4-ply, and so I might use that for the collar to give it a bit more structure, but I also might use it for the cuffs if I need to. I prefer this to be a little bit longer than it currently is. So the goal with that one is I just have to get the sleeve done to match the other one, and then use up the rest of this on the body, and then we can make it work. I'm wearing my book club pullover by Sari Nordlund. I finally finished it. I'll probably wear it on the next pod as well, or I might have finished one of the other ones. But it is in the Wollemi by Bendigo Woollen Mills, and it's held with their Lilt, like mohair equivalent, both in like the Wollemi is a blue gum 8-ply, and I think the Lilt is marine. I love it, and it's so cozy. It's been a little bit chilly here, so it's kind of worked. While Sarah is off celebrating all the things, we might have mentioned that we're not doing an April podcast like we normally would. Sarah and I really enjoy it. We love it. She's started working a bit more. I'm working full time. We still want to do a monthly pod, but we've been working really hard at them since February last year. We just thought we'll take April off, and it's worked out really well. She's had things going on. I've had holidays, I've had sickness, so it's worked out well, but we should be back to normal from May, and then we just thought we'd release my little holiday one, and she'll also release, well, hopefully, I'm saying this now and I hope she does it, she'll release one from her trips around Japan, which I'm stoked to see, because again, all of the crafty things are in Japan. Just a little intro to say welcome to Mount Gambier. If you're not familiar with South Australia, we're from Adelaide. Mount Gambier is down towards the coast, about 5 hours drive away, and we're staying in a beautiful cottage called Kookaburra Cottage, so everything is Kookaburra themed, but then there's also like alpacas and sheep and a pony on site, and you can feed them, and it's really, really cute. The insides are decorated beautifully. We're only here for 2 nights and like 2 and a bit days, but it's beautiful. I actually checked to see if we could extend the stay, but it's booked ahead. It's really, really lovely. I think that's all I have for now. I'll show you some of the things we've got up to around Mount Gambier over the next few days, and then I'll come back at the end and show off where I got up to. As we were driving up here, we shared the drive, so I did half, my husband did half, and I was working on my knitting, and I realised that like I didn't want to bring too many projects because we're not gone for too long, but I did realise that I might run out of projects because I didn't bring the right needles for the sleeves of the rainy day tee, so I could only do the body. I can only do the body up to when I do the hems because I didn't bring the smaller ones for that either. So a bit silly of me. And then I was also like, I've only got so far to go with the mohair before I'll be done. So as we were driving up through Naracoorte on the way to Mount Gambier, I saw a sign on the side of the road that was like the Sheep's Back Wool Museum. And I was like, Wool Museum, they'll have wool. So we just popped into this little museum. It was $10 to go in to actually see everything, but it was also located in the visitor centre and they had like a little store. So we didn't go into the museum because we like didn't have enough time to actually enjoy it too. So we popped into the store. At the back of the store they had all of these Bendigo Woollen Mills, including some sock yarn. And I don't have a pair of socks on the go at the moment, which is very annoying. But it meant that I could pick up some sock yarn because the next pair that I want to make is actually a pair for my husband. So he was with me and he could pick out a colour. I got the Bendigo Woollen Mills multicoloured sock yarn in the colour Evening Shadows. And so if I get stuck over the weekend, I can make up some socks for my husband. I did pack, of all the things I didn't pack, I did actually pack the right needle size for that one. So if I run out, I'll have something. Yes, that is all for the moment. I'll check back in later and go through some of the things we've done and looked at on our trip. Well, hello! It's been a couple of days since we got back from our trip to Mount Gambier, and I thought I would check back in and update you with where I got up to on the projects that I took with me. And I was surprised that I actually didn't work on my Frederic sweater at all. Because I'd been sick, I was worried about the alpaca fluff like hurting my throat again, and so I just left it and worked on the other two items. So I have since finished it, since being home. But I will wait to show you it next podcast that Sarah's back, only because I didn't work on it at all while I was in Mount Gambier on my trip. So that can just be a little sneak peek of it's coming, it'll be ready for next pod. It's also not blocked and ends aren't woven in, so we'll do that first. But I thought I would update you and show you what I'm up to. Where I got up to with my rainy day tea, another Sari Nordlund pattern. I'm a big Sari fan. We shared the driving. It's about a 5-6 hour drive from Mount Gambier back to Adelaide, and so my husband did half of it and I did the second half. So once I reached the length that I wanted, I just had to stop and put it down, and I perfectly timed that so that when it was time to swap driving, I was where I got up to, where I couldn't do anymore, and we swapped driving, and I had to drive the next few hours home anyway. So this is how the rainy day tee is looking. Worked on it a little bit, so I've got a couple of rows of ribbing down, and obviously still have to come back to the collar and to finish the sleeves. Really liking how it's looking. I'm yet to join a new ball of cotton, so this is still what I've got left of the original 200 gram ball. Stoked because it means I don't have to weave in as many ends, and we love that. Probably the most annoying thing is with the items I took away, I don't feel like any of them got to a point where it's like satisfying to finish them. Like, as I said, I didn't work on the Frederic sweater, and this still looks really, really bitsy. And so I don't feel like I accomplished a whole lot, but like that's not the point. And we were only gone for a couple of days anyway. It was about the process and the progress, not the finished item, because I knew it wasn't going to get to that point. The other thing that I did have to work on was the sock yarn that I bought in Naracoorte, just outside of Mount Gambier, and I was able to cast this on brunch Saturday morning before we left, on my little start of the ribbing and on my little circulars. So it was good to get that one started, and that's got a subtle colour change in greys. The colour way is evening shadows, so it should slowly change as I work up more of the sock. So yeah, I've got a good little on-the-go stockinette project now. Portable, can take places with me, so I'm excited for that. I finished my other socks a while ago and I didn't really have anything that I could take with me, so it'll be good to have that again. Aside from that, it was just really nice to get away for a couple of days, even though I was a little bit unwell. I will have put in some of the footage of the things we did already, but went to like the sinkhole, which is a must do. We went at dusk, which means that the little possums were out and people had rocked up just to feed them. So that was really cute, and it was just like the sun was starting to set. And then we also wandered around the Blue Lake, which is another like must-see thing in Mount Gambier. And then I think we went to every op shop but one, and most bookshops that are in Mount Gambier too. So it was just good to get away, to look at some of the things we love looking at. We didn't find anything at any of the op shops, whether or not it got cleared out because Easter wasn't that long ago or during holidays, but it was just sometimes you have good luck when you're looking and sometimes you don't, and that was one of the times that we didn't. Hopefully, over the next few weeks, Sarah will release her Japan podcast, and then we should be back with a normal chapter episode in May. But until then, I'll see you next time. Bye. This is a test. This is a test. And now I've got to do it again with the microphones.